Welcome back to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast and episode number 2 of the Athletic Training Room featuring Cari Wood. We're going to be right back with Cari, a Hall of Fame trainer, but first, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, come on, don't hit that fast forward button. These are all companies I used as an athletic director. They're all great companies. You should be using them too. So take 3 minutes, just listen to our sponsorship shout outs, then listen to Cari. And then go ahead and visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. Hey, we want to say thanks to our good friends at Snap Raise for their support of the podcast. You know, have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and then been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. It's hands down the best online fundraiser out there. We used it at our school. Tremendous success. Coaches loved it. Parents loved it because it works. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it. Go to snapraise.com. We also want to thank Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Now, I didn't get my master's from Ohio, but my assistant athletic director did. And it was a great experience, very affordable, just 20 months, totally online. And while you're earning your master's degree, you're also earning 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. To find out more information, just go to ohio.edu/info/MAA, the Ohio University Online Masters in Athletic Administration. We also want to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all the teams, for all the different events, or to show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and take a look at their interactive touchscreen video consoles. That's right, touchscreen. It's also a great way to share your school's unique history and brag a little bit about your proudest moments. The website is vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check them out today. We'd like to thank Home Campus for all of their support. Home Campus is a platform that you're going to use every single day. Things like scheduling, rosters, results. I'm telling you, their athletic eligibility and clearance platform alone is worth the price. For more information, just go to homecampus.com. Don't forget to mention the podcast, homecampus.com. We also want to thank Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see their products in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table, and their video boards are just as great. Go to sidelineinteractive.com for more information. That's sidelineinteractive.com. We want to thank Hometown Ticketing. Hometown is the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. And whether it's more support, more security, or more customization, the Hometown team is here to help you make the best online ticketing solution. That's hometownticketing.com. It's digital ticketing that offers more. We want to thank Gipper for all of their support. You know, your student athletes are on social media, and if they're not seeing content that celebrates their accomplishments, you're missing out on a great opportunity. Go to Gipper.com. Their team will have you creating world-class content in seconds, whether it's a social media post to share all the excitement of a big win or an entire online newsletter that shares all the great things your program's doing. You'll find it at Gipper.com. It's used and trusted by over 20,000 high school and college programs. It's professional graphic design made easy. Go to Gipper.com. Once again, don't forget to mention the podcast, Gipper.com. We want to say thanks to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but as an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches, all of our coaches, just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Our kids love the videos, our parents love the streaming, but there is so much more. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, turn your school into a Huddle school. That's huddle.com. And we want to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. Athletic directors already get feedback, but many times it's from a very small group that just wants to gripe. Athletic Surveys is going to connect you to that group so you can address their concerns, but they're also going to connect you to the 98% of your stakeholders that support your program. And having that kind of positive feedback is incredibly valuable, especially when you're meeting with that frustrated parent, maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Educational AD. And part of our new series, this one we're calling The Training Room. Our guest for these segments is Cari Wood. If you're new to the podcast, Cari's a longtime high school athletic trainer in the state of Oregon. She's also a member of the National Athletic Trainers Hall of Fame, has a tremendous background in athletics as an educator, as a leader, and obviously as an athletic trainer. And this series, this is the second one in her series, is designed to kind of help athletic directors understand how they can help their athletic trainer so that everybody can help the kids better. Well, Cari Wood, welcome back to the Educational AD podcast.
Thank you. So today, I am going to talk about communication. I know one of the biggest frustrations that we have as athletic trainers is we feel like we're always the last to know. And so, and we get forgotten. And a lot of times it's because we're not on the staff there. Maybe it's a contract athletic trainer coming in or, different situations. But we just want to be able to feel like we are respected and are important enough to know the information that's coming down. Um, and so I just want to talk a little bit about communication and how we can help each other out um, in our settings. So, as you know, athletic directors, I know you feel like you're on an island sometime. You're the only guy out there because nobody else is doing your job. And there's a lot of things you can't say to coaches and you can't say to parents, and you don't have anyone to vent to because you can't talk about a coach to another coach. Well, we feel the same. We're out on an island as well. And so we're the only person doing our job. And so it's so important, and you'll probably hear me say this about being on an island with you guys often in these segments, because it's so important that we all work together and help each other out. So I know that the athletic directors I've worked with have been amazing, and we helped each other out in a lot of ways. So today, communication. So we're all human, and I know that you guys are super, super busy. I genuinely respect the hours that athletic directors put in. Um, and I know that we're human, and people forget. And so we know that it's going to happen, and it always happens that we forget. But how can we help? How can we as athletic trainers help our athletic directors remember to tell us about schedule changes and last minute changes of practices and game additions and that kind of stuff, that all of a sudden a player will come in and say, oh, hey, are you going to be at our scrimmage tomorrow, Cari? And I'm like, oh, scrimmage tomorrow? So we get that all the time. And we are athletic trainers are very dedicated to our jobs. We love our athletes. We want to make sure our athletes are well cared for. We want our teams to win. And so we really feel like we need to be there, and we're super dedicated. So it's hard to miss something or know that there's something that you have to cancel other plans that you've already made because something got added that you didn't know about. And we also know that you have to be flexible in this job. And that changes happen, weather changes, teams, all sorts of things happen. We understand the flexibility, but what's frustrating is if we don't hear about something that we could have heard about 24 hours ago or 48 hours ago. So a couple of things that I've done that that my athletic directors have done with me that I loved. And I've worked with lots of athletic directors in my 30 years, and they've all been great. But one of the ADs that I worked with did monthly meetings with the athletic trainers. Just set every month, he'd take us to lunch. There was two of us in the school district, and that was so incredibly valuable. One, it made us feel like we were important and part of the team and respected. And two, it was an incredible way for us to be able to vent and catch our AD up on any, parent problems or a kid issue, or maybe they're, you're button heads with a coach. And it was just so helpful to be able to talk to the AD and just have a monthly meeting and just catch up. Sometimes there was nothing, sometimes we just had a meeting. How are you doing? Well, I'm doing pretty good. Things are going pretty smoothly. It's we're in between seasons, so nothing's much going on, but thanks for sitting down with me and give me an opportunity of dedicated time that I can ask you questions. And if you have any questions of me. So monthly meetings are awesome. And I know you guys have a lot of meetings, you're busy, but super valuable to us as athletic trainers. Two, please, please, please invite us to your coaches' meetings. There's so much, again, so much valuable information that can be exchanged from an athletic trainer to an entire coaching staff and vice versa. Maybe the coaches have something that, hey, it would help us out if you, because, did this or whatever, but it's just so helpful to us to be at coaches' meetings and understand what you guys are talking about and what you're doing. And just, again, feeling like we're part of the team and being in the loop and knowing what's going on. Parent meetings. I I know that it's probably not intentional, but oh my gosh, please invite your athletic trainer if you have a preseason parent meeting. You know that you deal with a lot of parent calls, maybe about injuries or things like that. But if you are able to just have your athletic trainer stand up and address the parents for 2 minutes, if that, I know it's a peace of mind for parents to know when their kid comes home and says, well, Carrie said, blah, blah, blah. Who's Carrie? I've never, so it's really helpful for parents to be able to put a face to a name and understand who's there. And then it gives the athletic trainer an opportunity to kind of let parents know their, theories and how they operate and when they will call them, because every athletic trainer is a little bit different on when they call parents and when they choose not to call parents. And it's just really, I know as a parent, it's really helpful to know if your kiddo's injured, when can I expect a phone call and who's helping out. So please invite your athletic trainers to the parent meetings and allow them to address the parents as well. And then the last one that I could think of is yearly meetings. I went for years and years without ever having a yearly meeting with an athletic director. And finally, you guys meet with your coaches after every season and kind of go over, give them a review of what they did well, what are you hearing, what can they improve on. I would have loved to have all that information, especially early in my career, learning about what can I do better and how can I help you more. And so go ahead and set your athletic trainer up on that yearly review process. And I'm sure we can figure out, it's not going to be the same questions that you ask coaches, but let them know what they can be better at and what maybe coaches are saying and so on and so forth. And then also that is a great opportunity for the athletic trainer to be able to talk to the athletic director and show you, here's our policies and here's some things that I changed in our P&P this year, and just kind of update you as well on anything that might be going on, over the year, what you might be doing differently. There's an award that the NATA does. It's called the Safe Schools Award. And it's a big process. It's basically a checklist. It's not really an award, but it's a checklist. And you go through all these things that, is your school doing this? Are you doing this? And all these different health and safety and athletic training type topics. And it had to be signed by the principal. And I'll tell you what, the first time I applied for that, we had a newer principal And I went up and asked her can I have a meeting with you? I'd like to, go over this award thing with us that would look great in our gym, that we are, student safety focused. And I sat down with her with that process and all the things that we do as athletic trainers, and she was blown away. She was like, "You do that?" "Yes, ma'am, I do." "Oh my gosh, you do this?" "Yes, we have a policy for that." And so it's really interesting to we as athletic trainers feel like our career is misunderstood or not understood as well as it should be. And so this a yearly meeting is also a good time to let the athletic trainer kind of brag a little bit and show you what they've been doing. And, maybe they added a new concussion evaluation tool or something like that. So meetings, meetings, meetings. Any comments there?
Well, I was just going down the list as you went through them, and I'm going, boy, I'm glad that we did those. You and I have talked before. I was very fortunate. We had great athletic trainers. I think I did a pretty good job of empowering them and then getting out of the way. And if they needed support, I was certainly there for them. But you're absolutely right. You as an AD, you need to step in and introduce the trainer to your coaches so they know who they are. And also, in case there's any doubt, outline that the athletic trainer is they're working with you, but in their area, they are also the boss. They're the final word. Same thing with the student athletes. We would have the athletic trainer when we hired them come in and meet the teams, and then each year. My athletic trainers typically were women. She and I would go and we would see those teams and talk to them at the start of the season. Let them know this is when the training room's open. This is how we handle injuries. This is how we'd like you to help us work with your parents. And then on those back to school nights and meetings, we would make sure that the trainer was there to let everybody see her. Just speak very briefly, hey, my office is right over there. Here's my phone number. And that way the parents knew who Cari was or who our trainer was when the kids were talking about. We'd also tell the parents, and you've heard me say this before, please let us make that appointment for your child. We will get them front of the line treatment. Do not take your kid in because that GP that you use is just going to say no activity for 3 weeks and then our hands are tied. And,
Yeah.
please let us help you. And I love your comment about administration. Our administration was great, but having the trainer outline even if it's just maybe once a year, but maybe even more often than that, meeting with that upper admin, hey, this is what we do. Athletics is the front porch of the school, and we're trying to make sure that front porch is nice and clean. So, help us,
I like
uh,
that analogy.
help us, help us help you. Great, great stuff. Okay. Did I forget anything?
You didn't. I have a little bit more, excuse me, on communication. So let's go back to the daily schedule changes or a last minute game change. What are some ways that we can help you or you can help us learn about these changes? And one of the things and this is pretty old school, so I know that there's probably a new, better way out there, but one of our athletic secretaries had an actual 3-copy checklist. So every time there was a game change, she'd fill out what the game change was, and then she had a checklist: officials, athletic trainer, games, clock manager, all the things that ticket taker, all of the people who were essential at that game who needed to know that. She had this checklist, and so she never forgot anybody to let them know that there was a schedule change. And she would tear off each copy and put it in their box or hand it to them. So I know that's old school, but I'm sure there's a way that you can do that electronically now to make sure that nobody gets forgotten on those game changes. Also, if most teams nowadays, have some sort of electronic communication system, whether it's Remind or Parent Square, I don't know all the names of them, but there's lots of them out there, and most teams are on that, a third party, so you're not exchanging phone numbers and all that. I found it super helpful to be included on those as well. I always just ask my coaches, hey, can you give me a link to your system so I can hear when there's game change, or, when there's changes in schedules and things like that, so I can be there. So encourage that of your coaches to include the athletic trainer on those as well. And then sometimes I've seen athletic trainers have some issues with doctor notes, and maybe this is at a smaller school, that make sure that when you get a physician note or something updating medically from a student, a lot of times they'll take those to the athletic director or the athletic secretary or their coach. Make sure that we are included in the loop on those as well. And I know that I hope that's not an issue, but I have heard some athletic trainers complain or, have concerns about that. And then the last thing in communication, and this is kind of more like when your athletic trainer is there, some of the things that I've found helpful over the years as far as policies go is we have a hierarchy of needs kind of coverage, sports medicine coverage priority list. And so it basically says, the athletic trainer, their first priority in the fall is varsity football. The second priority would be JV football. The third priority would move to not freshman football, but maybe varsity soccer. And so there is no question when there's multiple events going on, there's no question on where the priority lies injury wise and where that athletic trainer should be if necessary. And we have that in writing. The other thing it helps with is if you have and no offense to cross country coaches, but maybe your cross country coach is like, hey, you never come to our cross country meets. We really want you to be there. And you're like, well, every time there's a cross country meet, there's a soccer game. And my priority, I would love to be at your cross country meet, but unfortunately, our priority list that's in writing in my contract requires that I'm here first. So it takes any personal, like, oh, you don't like volleyball, that kind of stuff. It takes all of that out of it if you have a priority. And then it also helps in any liability issues, like why wasn't the athletic trainer down at this event when we had a bad injury? Well, because here's what the contract says. Does that make sense? So I know
Oh,
that
that
I'm
makes
happy
perfect
to,
sense. Yeah.
yeah, I'm happy to share that document with anybody if you want it. It's been very helpful over the years for us. Also, when you meet with your athletic trainer, maybe define what the essential events are that need medical care. So not necessarily games and practices like we just talked about, but what about the summer weight room workouts? Do you want your athletic trainer there? Do they really need to be there? Define some of those things. Okay, on a Saturday, maybe football comes in and does a walkthrough. Do you want your athletic trainer there? So make sure that everybody's on the same page, that the coaches know what your priorities are and when they think they should be there. And that's a conversation between the athletic trainer, the coach, and the AD. I think that if you all are on the same page of what's essential that needed for medical care, that helps solve any problems before they come up. And then the last thing is, do you have a substitute for your athletic trainer? Do you have something in place that if there's an emergency, I could probably count on one hand or half of my hand how many times I was absent because I was sick during my 32 years of practicing athletic training because I wasn't allowed to be sick. I'm the only person who does my job. And so if I wasn't there, things didn't get done and so do you have something in place that can help, that you can have somebody lined up, or the athletic trainer can help you find another athletic trainer in the area, or some sort of policy that if the athletic trainer needs to be gone, they can have a substitute and something can be done. And maybe that's as minimal as making sure you talk to the risk manager at the school district and say, hey, is there something in our policy, in our insurance policy, that says we're doing the best we can? Our athletic trainer wasn't here. We still provided but I don't know what that looks like because I'm not a risk manager, but are we okay and are we covered if something catastrophic happens and our athletic trainer is homesick, ironically, that day? So think about that. It's also very helpful to the athletic trainers. We have lives too outside of work as you do as well. And so there are times that we need to not be there and we feel like that we want our team taken care of. So that's
Again,
what I have for you today. If you have anything you'd like to add or ask, go for it.
oh, again, just what we would expect, nothing else from a Hall of Famer. Uh, I love how you do, in a very good way, you double down on the communication, games canceling, changes of venues, things like that. And also, very important, whatever relationship you as an AD has with your trainer, are they full-time? Are they part-time? Do they teach, PE courses and then they're a trainer? Whatever that is, um, make sure that you've discussed it, hopefully before you hired them and it was in the contract about those things that Cari mentioned. What are the hours? What's the responsibility? How is summer? Is that part of it? For our athletic trainers, summer was they were off during the summers. They could get paid over a 12-month period if they wanted to, but they were not by contract required to be at any summer activities. They were there through the end of spring sports, baseball, softball, track, whatever we had in the spring, including spring football, which is usually over before those others anyway. And then they started up uh, pretty much that first day of fall sports, which is summer, volleyball, football, cross country, golf, all those fall sports. That's when they started. If there was a summer camp or there was summer weight room or something like that, they were able to contract through our strength coach or our football coach or the volleyball coach if she was running a camp to work those for additional compensation. It
I
wasn't
like it.
part of their regular, or they could take the summer off and go to Disney or whatever they wanted to. Make sure that you as the AD are communicating all that so your trainer knows what's going on and so your coaches know what's going on. You don't want that. I was a football coach. You don't want that crazy football coach going, "Hey, where's the trainer?" Okay, during summer workouts. Well, coach, if you didn't, contract and pay that trainer, they're not going to be showing up. So, Cari, speaking of communication, you're just such a tremendous resource. If one of our listeners wanted to reach out, pick your brain a little bit, maybe ask, again, a Hall of Fame trainer their advice, or just add you to their network, what's the best way that somebody can get a hold of Cari Wood?
Probably just by email, carriew2288 at Gmail.
Okay. Well, Cari, thanks as always for sharing with our listeners on the podcast. Hope you're enjoying a great spring out there in Oregon, and we're going to look forward to the next episode of the Trainer's Room on the Educational AD podcast.
Thanks, Jake.
For listeners, we want to say thanks to you and just remind you we upload the Zoom recordings of all of our interviews to the Educational AD podcast YouTube channel. We do the podcast just about every day. This segment rolls around after every several weeks, but we hope you're going to come back for the next episode of the Educational AD podcast. We'll see you next time. Well, I use this term a lot because it's true. Our presenters, and Cari certainly was a good example of that, just presented a master class. So if you're looking to make sure your relationship with your athletic trainer is running as smoothly as it could be, make sure you follow some of Cari's tips. Before we go, as always, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors, K-12 Sports Tech, Vital Signs Wall of Fame, Gipper, Huddle. We want to thank Ohio University and Home Campus. We want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys and Hometown Ticketing, Sideline Interactive, and Snap Race. Please visit all these great sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. We'll see you next time on the Trainer's Room and come back for the next episode of the Educational AD podcast. Thanks for listening.